What's up everybody? I wanted me to react to Super Eyepatch Wolf. So I was checking out his videos and he made a bizarre world of fake martial arts video. Let's check his videos.
One of my favorite things about this job, besides the legions of adoring fans and crippling existential crises, is the occasional opportunity that comes with stumbling across a weird, baffling internet hole and seeing just how deep and dark it goes. And friends, let me welcome you to the strange world of fake martial arts. What I mean by fake is everything from the unusual techniques of mail-order karate dojos to the fabled pressure point knockouts of dim mock masters, all the way up to the near superhuman abilities of the no-touch KO artists. And if you've never seen this stuff, it is real, as in at least some of the people involved believe it is happening. And granted, the topic of fake fighting might be an ironic choice coming from someone this into professional wrestling, but martial arts have also been a pretty big part of my life. I've been doing different forms of taekwondo, boxing, tai chi, and most recently Brazilian jiu-jitsu for about 12 years now. And hey, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to claim I'm any kind of tough guy. If anything, I know just enough about fighting to know how little I know. But I do think it gives me...
Was that Gracie?
Claim I'm any kind of tough guy. If anything, I know just enough about fighting to know how little...
Is that one of the Gracies? He looks like, what was his name?
I know,
Not
but
Royce,
I do think it gives me some understanding in how a person is able to convince themselves they have these abilities.
This dude is using the fucking force, my guy. He's using... It's a fucking set. He's a set.
And why a room full of people would be willing to believe them. And it's around here that a darker, more insidious side of fake martial arts begins to emerge, which we will get to. But to start, I think it's important to understand the appeal of martial arts themselves and how and why they became popular, and particularly in the kung fu craze of the early 70s.
I've not trained any martial arts besides a little bit of Kyokushin. That's all I have.
Martial arts were first introduced to America late into World War II, when American soldiers deployed in Japan learned different forms of karate and judo, even having it integrated into their basic training. And later, these same soldiers would return to America and open their own dojos. But where martial arts really started to penetrate popular culture was the resurgence of the Hong Kong Kung Fu movie. And whatever else I'm going to talk about this video, one thing I want to make clear is that Kung Fu movies are fucking awesome.
Yes,
if you've never seen the likes of Drunken Master, Enter the Dragon, Five Fingers of Death, or Snake in Eagle's Shadow, you should do everything you can to track them down. These movies are stunning physical fantasies. Stories told less through dialogue and plot development as much as they are through beautifully controlled violence, channeling the will and energy of their performers into furious bouts of physical combat, making for kinetic, exhilarating blasts of cinema. But there was also another side to the choreographed violence, as at the heart of many of these movies was a bold declaration of national identity, a deeply political message tied to these fighters. In the late 19th and early 20th century, China and Hong Kong had suffered repeated invasions and colonizations by British and Japanese armies, with the Chinese people being seen as a weak, divided nation incapable of defending itself from invading forces, with the Chinese routinely referred to as the sick men of Asia. And so, when in Fist of Fury, Bruce Lee battled his way into a Japanese karate dojo before declaring, "We are not sick men," it was a moment of elation for Chinese cinema goers, as it was in the same movie when Lee obliterated a sign that read, "No dogs or Chinese allowed." This scene is key to understanding the power of these films, as across international waters, these signs also existed, albeit targeting different groups of people. But in these movies, no matter how society or the powers that be viewed you, kung fu and martial arts were the great equalizer, a way not for the strong to get stronger, but for the weak to rise up, to give ordinary people the strength to stand and challenge convention, to declare, "I am here and I am relevance." This was the powerful fantasy that martial arts films were built on, and what let them explode box offices in cinemas across America. But it was in the desire for that fantasy that gave rise to the early days of fake martial arts. Which brings us to a man who referred to himself as the Crown Prince of Death, Count Juan Raphael Dante. If you flick through the pages of enough Silver Age Marvel comics, you'll inevitably come across these strange advertisements of Count Dante. According to these ads, Dante was the master of the dim mok or poison hand fighting style. Considered by many as evil and cruel, the lethally savage ripping, tearing, slashing, clawing and gouging techniques which comprise the poison hand arsenal are used to attack by strike, touch or pressure the nerve centers, pressure points, major blood vessels and vital organs of the body.
Wow.
The pamphlet, written by Dante, offered to turn its readers into, and I quote, shocking human horror weapons capable of killing multiple opponents with a single touch, while also talking about how handsome Dante was and how good he was at dancing. On the surface, it seems obvious what's happening here. Count Dante, real name John Keehan, was looking to take advantage of the kung fu craze of the 70s by selling his pamphlet to gullible young comic book readers. But where things start to get strange is the more you look into Count Dante, the more it seems like he actually believed what he was writing. He did have a legitimate history of karate. He did own 2 dojos in South Chicago, where he and his pet lion would wander the streets, with Dante known to do things like show up at Muhammad Ali's house challenging him to fights, offering friends pistols with which to shoot him so he could demonstrate his bullet catching techniques, with Dante even at the center of the infamous Chicago Dojo Wars, with him attempting to blow up an enemy dojo with a stick of dynamite before carrying out a raid on an enemy training hall that resulted in the death of his friend and student Jim Konsovic. This all actually happens. Count Dante died in 1975, and what he left behind was the bizarre legacy of a strange man lost in a fantasy. And over the years, we'd see so many people like this. The batshit insane ninjutsu.
This fucker karate chopped his fucking
batshit insane ninjutsu.
So karate chopped him 3 times.
The batshit insane ninjutsu of the mail-order ninja Ashita Kim. The fake life of Frank Dukes, of whom the entire film Bloodsport was based on, before being exposed as a fraud by the LA Times. Right up to modern day, this is still happening. Which brings us to the infamous and strange no-touch master, George Dillman. Dillman first came to prominence for pioneering his...
One second, I need to go. Hey, we're back, boys. Let's go.
Pressure point knockouts. Techniques that would let him render a person unconscious with only the lightest tap. But where he started to gain national... Only the lightest tap. But where he started to gain national attention was in his chi-based no-touch knockout techniques, which would let him knock someone out through blasts of invisible energy. In 2005, Dillman welcomed a team of National Geographic filmmakers into his dojo, and after a group of successful demonstrations on his own students, a National Geographic chemist and skeptic stepped forward, offering himself up to be knocked out by the chi-based technique. And the result was... nothing. The chemist was completely unaffected, with Dillman's explanation as to why the no-touch knockout didn't work being just, well, baffling.
The skeptic was a totally non-believer. Plus, I don't know if I should say that on film, but if the guy had his tongue in the wrong position of the mouth, that can also nullify it. If I say I'm going to knock you...
So his impressive martial arts that can knock you out without touching you can be nullified by you having your either not believing in it, which should not be a problem for about 99.9999% of the population, or if you have your tongue in the wrong position.
You out, and you raise one toe and push one toe down, can't knock you out.
Surprisingly, this exact same scenario took place again years later when a Fox News report visited the dojo of Dillman's star pupil Tom Cameron.
How does this dude get people to come into his dojo? Because people are paying this dude for him to teach them this bullshit. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Master of the same no-touch techniques and also an expert in dim mak, that's the same martial art as Count Dante, with Cameron offering to demonstrate his pressure point knockout on the tiny Fox News reporter.
She might be tiny as in height, but damn, there are two things that are not tiny about her.
Relax, I'm not going to hurt you.
He refused to try the touchless knockout on me, saying he thought I may get hurt.
If you touch
For a touchless martial art, he sure seems to be touching her a lot, bro. Chill the fuck out.
Instead, he used a light tap technique to affect my nervous system. Wait, you just hit me in the head. We were less than stunned by this stun guns demonstration.
Cameron later claimed that the technique was only effective on 40% of people, despite the fact it worked on 0% of fighters at a local Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym. No one would like this stuff to be real more than me, because if this was real, then Dragon Ball Z is real and I can stop making YouTube videos. But much to my disappointment, there's never been a single recorded case of a pressure point knockout or no-touch technique working on a resist.
Is this the guy trying the no-touch thing? This guy seems to be trying the me-touch your face with my fist thing. It seems to be working pretty well.
Much to my disappointment, there's
some
never
hard
been a
punches.
single recorded case of a pressure point knockout or a no-touch technique working on a resistant skeptic or in any kind of competitive contest. And the principles of energy that these techniques are based off have never been verified by any kind of scientific test. But if that's the case, then what the fuck is actually happening in these videos? Do these instructors really believe they have supernatural powers? And even if they do, why are they working on regular people? And to answer the first part of that question, I want to talk about a fight that took place in 2006 between a mixed martial arts practitioner and a psychic Qigong master. I want to give a little warning here, just that I'm going to be showing footage that some people
This is gonna be funny as fuck. I love
might find
Let's
difficult
go, let's
to
go,
watch.
boy, let's go.
I know these are meant to be contests between two trained fighters, but, well,
Come on,
they aren't.
show me the blood, gore, and violence,
What you're
brother.
seeing here is the no-touch master Yanagi Ryuken, whose mastery of multiple styles of martial arts, along with his innate psychic abilities, allow him to fight scores of opponents while defending himself with kinetic blasts of psychic energy. His abilities are so strong that he's even able to manipulate the bodies of his opponents like a marionette. And it was with these techniques that led him to be victorious in an unverified 200 Vale Tudo fights, basically no-holds-barred contests. In 2006, the 65-year-old Qigong master put up $5,000 of his own money, claiming he could defeat any mixed martial arts practitioner.
Why was he so confident? Why was he so confident?
Challenge that would be accepted by Iwakura Go, a Japanese journalist trained in judo, karate, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so the fight was set for November 26th, and in front of a crowd of 500 people, the two fighters stepped forward to face each other. And as a hush falls over the crowd, the fight began.
Oh no. I think that guy is part of the 40% of the population. This does all work again. This dude seems to be trying his little magic tricks, and this dude's about to punch him in the fucking mouth. Oh, that was a fucking hard
So,
punch.
I remember the first time I ever got punched in the face in a competitive spar. And what stayed with me wasn't even the pain, but just the jarring sense of disbelief that I'd just been struck by another human. And learning to get over that shock, learning how to get punched in the face, is maybe the most valuable lesson I've taken from martial arts. And what I find so disturbing about this moment is we're watching a supposed master experience that same shock for what looks like the first time. He's in disbelief about what's just happened, the other fighter even checking if he's okay, before the fight continues and comes to a brutal, immediate conclusion. I don't take any pleasure in this footage. To me, we're watching...
I enjoyed this a little bit, I'm gonna be honest with you. I loved watching this dude get his ass whooped. Like, first off, you're a fucking fraud, you're a piece of shit, you're a fucking liar, and the biggest problem, I mean, there's a lot of people that are pieces of shit out there. I don't want to watch them get their ass whooped. I mean, maybe a little bit. But the problem with this dude being such a piece of shit is that he is taking other people's money to teach them shit, supposedly self-defense techniques and shit. What the fuck is gonna happen if that dude gets attacked on the street? If he's teaching women or kids or young adults how to defend themselves and they get attacked on the street and they try to fucking control your chi, you get your ass pummeled like this guy did in this fight. What happens then? That's why I enjoy watching this dude get his ass
an
pumped.
old man being violently humiliated on what has to be the worst day of his entire life. And it's pathetic and sad. I can't imagine what's going through.
This was not the worst day of his life. The day after this, when he feels all this shit and his jaw hurts for like another 2 weeks, that's probably the worst day of his life.
65-year-old's mind as he kneels on the mat, clutching his beaten, broken face. But I also think it's hard not to watch this footage and not consider the level of delusion that brought him to this moment. A delusion so strong that not even this fight could break it. Ryuken would later claim that his psychic abilities were not working that day due to an illness, and he has since returned to teaching martial arts, gaining new students, and propagating his
Okay, we need someone else to go beat his ass again, please.
no-touch fighting style. And so when asking do these instructors actually believe these moves, yeah, it's likely they do. And it's probably a very simple delusion to trap yourself in when it brings a following, wealth, and status. But then, what about the students? Why are they behaving like this? And to answer that question, let's look at another phenomenon where groups of people gather in small rooms and act in strange, bizarre ways. Psychologists believe that what draws people into cults isn't a desire for spiritual fulfillment or a search for some higher power, but simple...
What the fuck?
But simple human comfort. A desire that cults manipulate and prey upon, exposing the greatest insecurities of their members and offering them comfort and protection from it.
It's kind of disturbing.
This was the same psychological manipulation that let Charles Manson control his
1 second. Okay, we're back.
followers, making them act in strange, bizarre
we're not back.
ways.
Fuck me. Jesus fucking Christ, I got a phone call from my fucking phone company. They were giving me a fucking marketing scheme for like 20 minutes. Fuck phone companies. Jesus, let's get back to the video.
Promise of comfort and community that led to the members of the Heaven's Gate cult castrating themselves before committing group suicide, leaving...
Whoa, what the fuck did they do?
The same promise of comfort and community that led to the members of the Heaven's Gate cult castrating themselves before committing group suicide, leaving 39 dead. And next to that, falling over to a hokey technique is nothing. Even look at this footage of the faith healer and alleged con artist Benny Hinn. And you can imagine that if Hinn had marketed himself slightly differently, he too could have been a no-touch master. And that's because it's all the same principle. Put all your faith into this one individual and they will give you the means to guard yourself from the evils of this world. And in the case of fake martial arts, that evil is a primary human fear. Violence from other people. And there's a tremendous amount of comfort in that. The idea that these people can teach you techniques that will make you immune to physical danger. Creating a delusion so strong, it's led to the kinds of footage we've been looking at this entire video. But it's also in that delusion that more insidious intentions can lie. And this, friends, brings us to the troubling story of James Heydrich. James Heydrich first entered public consciousness after an appearance on the American TV show That's Incredible, in which Heydrich demonstrated his stunning telekinetic abilities, which allowed him, through psychic force, to turn the pages of a phone book, rotate pencils, and even manipulate dollar bills encased in glass. Heydrich claimed that these were psychic abilities he'd learned from his own self-taught martial arts, combined with the teachings of a Chinese grandmaster, and also claimed that he could pass these techniques on to children through special training. And
you
fuck. Own innate.
You ain't passing shit to the children, you little fucking puro. I see you have that fucked up mustache. Yes, you pedo boy.
Of people were willing to believe in and pay him for. But in 1982, that delusion would come crashing down around him in a television special called Psychic Confession. The special was hosted by Danny Corman, an investigative journalist and part-time magician who had discovered how Heydrich was manipulating these objects, and that was through a concentrated stream of air from his nose and mouth. And so, in a televised broadcast, Corman asked Heydrich to teach him these techniques and help him harness his own psychic energy. But then, unbeknownst to Heydrich, used the same blowing air trick to move the pencil. And just look at the shock on Heydrich's face as he actually believes he's experiencing genuine psychic abilities, before Corman reveals to the psychic fraud what is actually happening, and Heydrich's persona of a Zen martial arts master falls away to reveal a deeply disturbed individual, as he recounts his childhood of neglect and abuse, how he'd frequently escape into delusional fantasies where ancient Chinese masters would teach him the secrets of their martial arts. If the story ended there, it would be amusing, if kind of sad, but unfortunately, 7 years later, things took a disturbing turn.
Yo, these telephone companies are ensnaring me with their no-touch shit through the fucking phone, my guy. Okay, this should have been the last one. I told them not to call me again, or I will be extra angry. So, let's continue with the... what were we doing? Oh yeah, the dude that was blowing.
As Heydrich was convicted of 11 counts of child molestation.
Okay. Let's discuss this. I'm a little annoyed by the way the dude is presenting these. These people are fucking pieces of shit. Listen, my guy. These people are teaching children and adults stuff that does not work. What is this called? This is called being, what was it? Fuck, I forgot the English word. Whatever. They are cheaters. They are lying. They are lying. This should be against the law. Against the law. You see this motherfucker? Only 17 years for molesting 5 boys? No, cut his dick off, cut his balls off, make him eat them. And I'm not saying that should happen, but it
all
fucking
children
happen.
he had lured
Come
in
on,
with
let's
the
be
promise
fucking
of
honest.
his delusional powers, and then abused.
I hope they use him in prison.
This is where fake martial arts go from laughing at a group of people LARPing in a gym to something more sinister. And maybe it's not always as directly predatory as Heydrich, but that doesn't mean they aren't still dangerous in other ways. When I look in the backgrounds of a lot of these videos, I see people, vulnerable people. I see
Idiots.
women, kids, people there to learn to defend themselves. But what they're being sold is an empty lie. Something that would fail them in the potential most dire moments of their lives. And I think there's something really disgusting about that.
There is.
So, at best, fake martial arts are a dangerous, hollow...
Whoa, what the fuck was that? Did you all see this? This dude had a knife up to his throat, and his amazing defense method was to walk into the sharp edge, use it to fucking turn his throat around. Bro, you're gonna self-decapitate.
About that. So,
look
at
at this.
best,
Wait.
fake martial arts...
Let me slow this shit down. I need, my brain cannot comprehend the amount of no hit, no touch martial arts I'm saying. Look at this. Bro, you would self-decapitate yourself.
hollow fantasy.
Fucking monkey.
But at worst, they're a way to sell a delusional narrative and prey upon innocent people. And so, to end this video, I want to talk about one of those narratives, but one that's playing out right now and on a national
I know about
level.
this dude. This dude's a Chinese dude. He's training mixed martial arts, and he's challenging all the what do they call them? The original Chinese martial arts, you know, the ones that everyone's like, oh, this is so cool. And he's beating the fuck out of everyone. He's saying that they are fake, that they're not, well, that they might have been real in the past, but nowadays the way they're teaching them is not what they used to be, so it's bullshit. And he's whooping everyone's ass. It's fucking hilarious. At the same time, a little sad because the government's trying to fuck him, but
I want to talk about the story of Xu Xiaodong.
I love this dude.
Xu Xiaodong is a Beijing-born radio DJ and mixed martial arts practitioner who unwittingly has become the center of a massive cultural war in China. One that began in early 2017, a time when the Chinese government was deep into a movement known as the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, a cultural campaign designed to instill national patriotism in the youth of China. And one of the ways it did this was through the propagation of traditional Chinese martial arts. Through means like making mastery of Tai Chi mandatory for graduating certain Chinese high schools, as well as airing television specials that showed Tai Chi as a way to unlock a near mystical power, with Tai Chi masters out wrestling judo black belts, dodging the thrusts of professional level fencers, and blowing back groups of attackers with a single powerful movement. I have actually done a year of Tai Chi and found it a really great form of soft exercise. Granted, one with zero application to actual fighting, but hey, that's not why I was there, and more importantly, not what my teacher sold it as. But that wasn't the case with these specials, one in particular starring the Tai Chi master Wei Lei. Wei Lei was a huge believer in the combat prowess of Tai Chi, stating he could defeat any mixed martial arts fighter and even break a rear naked choke with one hand, much to the ire of anyone who has ever been in a rear naked choke.
What the?
Enter
One hand?
Xu Xiaodong.
I mean, if that hand had a pistol attached to it, yes, I agree.
After Xu Xiaodong voiced his skepticism in Wei Lei's claims on his radio show, he had his home address doxed by the followers of the Tai Chi master, endangering both him and his family. Furious, Xu Xiaodong traveled to Wei Lei's training hall and challenged the Tai Chi master to
I just want y'all to enjoy this, because this is truly enjoyable.
prove his claims in an exhibition match. And in front of a crowd of onlookers, the 40-year-old MMA fighter pummeled the Tai Chi master in less than 30 seconds. Xu would later refer to this match as the fight that shook the heavens, and it did. China was left in shock by the match's outcome.
I don't know if it shook the heavens, but I know it shook this dude's fucking bald ass head. It shook it a lot.
But rather than validating Xu, both the martial arts community and the Chinese media were incensed by Xu's actions, accusing him of attacking China's national heritage, Xu receiving over 100 challenges from enraged martial arts masters. But by Xu's own admission, he himself is nothing special. He's just a mediocre MMA fighter past his prime. But despite this, it's obvious when listening to him speak that he has a profound love of mixed martial arts, which is a system of fighting mixing all styles together and discarding anything that isn't directly effective, creating a complete all-rounded system of punching, kicking, and grappling. But in China, MMA is still viewed by many as a vulgar, crass form of fighting, vastly inferior to the traditional Chinese martial arts styles like Tai Chi, Wing Chun, and the various forms of Kung Fu. And this is where Xu's issues begin. He believes that traditional Chinese martial arts have become a mass con, a means to brainwash people, over-reliance on rigid movement patterns with little relevance to actual fighting. And while I love Kung Fu for reasons we've already talked about, it's hard to argue with Xu's claims considering how poorly traditional Chinese martial arts have fared against other...
But to be honest, I don't know about this, but I assume that the Kung Fu that people were training back, because I think it was a war martial arts back in the day in the China. Indochina, I said Indochina. What it was then is probably way different what it is now. So, I mean,
more modern fighting styles. But to Shu, where the real hypocrisy lies is in how traditional Chinese martial arts have been protected and promoted in China, meaning people like Wei Lei can make claims to having tremendous power without ever having to prove it, and then go on to sell the false promise of that power to innocent people, all under the guise of national patriotism. And so, with the intent of showing the people of China a genuine means to grow stronger, Shu began taking on these Chinese masters, and a lot of these matches play out the same. The match begins, the strikes of Shu's opponent are shown as weak and ineffective, before they are bloodied.
Punching like that, bruh? What kind of fucking martial arts have you trained? He's doing some fucking retarded shit. What the fuck?
And a lot of these matches play out the same. The match begins, the strikes of Shu's opponent are shown as weak and ineffective, before they are bloodied and beaten by Shu. But as these fights went on, something strange started to happen. You might notice that in this fight, Shu is wearing this grotesque face paint, and that's because it was dictated to him that the fight wouldn't be allowed to take place unless he wore Chinese clown makeup, and fought under the name Shu Donghua, which translates as Shu Winter Melon, insulting the guy's weight. And if Shu seems especially...
I mean, let's be honest, what is more humiliating? You being a clown, or you getting your ass beat by a fucking clown?
angry in this match, it's because before the fight, his Chinese social credit score was lowered to the point that he was no longer able to use air travel or high-speed trains, forcing him to take a 36-hour hard-seat train ride to even attend the fight. And you might ask why Shu is being treated like this, and the answer is that the Chinese government really wishes he wasn't doing what he is, and so a campaign of harassment, censorship, and humiliation has begun against him. He's had his gym closed down, his social media accounts deleted, he's been forced to apologize, he's been fined tens of thousands of dollars, forcing him to move out of his home, his fights have been shut down by the police, he's been accused of being a spy, and has even been harassed and ostracized. This clip showing a group of 8 Tai Chi students blocking Shu from leaving his hotel. Shu's family have even been harassed in their home, with Shu himself suffering public assault. But the most painful blow for Shu came when he was disowned by the martial arts gym he taught at for 20 years. All things he publicly spoke on in an emotionally charged live stream as the 40-year-old mixed martial artist breaks down in tears, recounting the isolation and torment he and his family have had to endure.
我20年待的地方说没就没了。我在我自己的微博上，我写我很光荣，我是什刹海的教练。
This all came to an absurd climax when, in 2018, Shu faced his most high-profile opponent yet, the Wing Chun master Ding.
I have seen this fight, and I will say one thing. It is glorious.
The fight received massive media coverage, with many seeing this as the moment that Shu would finally get his comeuppance for spitting in the face of Chinese traditional values. But to Shu, this was his biggest opportunity to prove that his claims were legitimate. And so, in front of an audience of millions, how begins the fight with a furious attack
Is he
on Shu.
slapping him? What were those punches, my friend?
And so, in front of an audience of millions, how begins the fight with a furious attack on Shu. And from here, the Wing Chun master is repeatedly pummeled and hurled to the ground. Each time.
Why does my boy fight like he's never sparred in his life? How can you become a master in a martial art without having
time saved by the referee? And finally, after his 6th knockdown with 40 seconds left in the first round, the bell rings.
Come on, get up,
and the
bitch.
fight
Yeah,
is
get your ass whooped some more, please.
And in what has to be one of the most embarrassingly farcical decisions in martial arts history, the match is declared a draw. I don't even really know what to say at this point.
Yeah, but boys even laughed at it.
Howe later made the excuse that the studio didn't.
You're lucky I didn't KO you last time. Yo, I'm pretty sure if my boy was just standing there with his hands down, if this guy punched him 5 times, 5 free punches, he would not be able to knock him out the way he was punching. No fucking
Give
way
him
in hell.
enough rice before the fight, resulting in his poor performance.
I'm going to defeat you publicly and KO you. Yo, how can you be this fucking delusional, my
And
guy?
Shu is still taking on martial arts masters, remaining undefeated
guy's a
after
master.
17 fights.
Bro, this dude looks like a crackhead. Why?
And continues to endure a campaign of harassment and humiliation. I love martial arts.
I
have
too,
done
buddy.
for
They're
a
awesome.
very long time. For me, stepping out onto the mat and letting life's troubles fall away as you give your all against a skilled opponent, that's become a tool for me to deal with anxiety, depression, all kinds of shit. But I think even more than that, martial arts are a way for people to
that's a big
become
boy.
more than what they are. Here's a little girl obliterating a tree with just her fists. Here's a guy tapping out an opponent twice his size. Here's a girl doing the same thing. With the right training and technique, martial arts can give strength to just about anyone. And I think that's a really...
Have you guys seen that martial artist that fights with only one hand? And I think he became a champion. I don't know, but he has a shit ton of wins. That guy is fucking nice.
beautiful thing. But when that idea becomes distorted and manipulated, it opens up a dangerous world of delusion, trapping people, cutting them off from genuine growth. And to me, that's the opposite of what martial arts should be. Friends, thank you for joining me today, and
Hey, I like this fucking video. This was awesome. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Would you like to train the not-touch martial art? Or would you actually like to train an actual martial art that would actually help you? Like, whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a nice fucking day.